the void with your melody.
Hello. Hello, everyone. We're good to kick this thing off.
Outstanding. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Take it away,
Uh,
Gabby.
all right, cool. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for jumping on tonight, and welcome to the Raver Angels election night. So, jazz hands for everyone here. We're so excited to see you. I am personally zooming in from Birmingham, Michigan, my hometown. John, where are you joining us from?
I am joining y'all from the KBLA 1580 studios, talk radio station in Los Angeles, California, as a matter of fact. And as soon as I'm done here, I'm jumping on with Tava Smiley to do a little extra red-blue commentary on the election. So should be fun, but I'm here with my Brave Angels family, and that's the most important place to be.
I love it. Talk radio. That sounds like something you're suited to, John.
I think so.
Well, firstly, I just before we, dive in, because we're going to be talking to so many amazing people tonight. John, you are such a giant in helping us ground ourselves and think about, what is the moment that we're in? How are we feeling? Can you do a little bit of that for us? Can you just tell us how are you feeling? Where are you at right now as we kick off election night?
Well, Gabby, I mean, I do think that the people who are on this call, the people who are involved in this work, there's a way in which we have sort of a privileged vantage point for watching what unfolds in America this evening and probably in the days to come, since in all likelihood, there may not really be clarity about the outcome of the election by the end of the night. But I think that for most Americans, or at least for very many Americans, there's a great amount of anxiety. There's a great sense of uncertainty about where we're going as a country, what it's going to mean for us as individuals. And in moments of uncertainty, we know that fear can well up. We know that it can be hard to show up as your best self when you're having to stay in relationships with people who maybe you think just took a vote to empower fascism. Maybe you think just took a vote to empower Marxism in America. And I think our fellow Americans are going to be wrestling with these deep and difficult feelings. And I think some of us are going to be prone to being triumphalist, and some are going to be prone to feeling fatalist by the end of this whole electoral question. But I think that here at Raver Angels, we have the opportunity to stand in the gap. We have the opportunity to model a spirit of goodwill and charity that can inspire the people around us and actually provide tools for them to show them how it is we can hold America together during this time in which we are going to viscerally feel the forces of polarization in culture and in politics trying to tear us away from each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think that that's where the country is at.
Yeah.
But I think that Braver Angels is in a remarkable position, even at the level of growth and development that we are at, to be able to respond to that in a way that provides people with an oasis, with a refuge, to be able to find connection and understanding. And again, to arm people with the skills and tools of goodwill necessary to allow them to keep peace and relationship with their neighbors, with their colleagues, with their coworkers, with members of their community, and even to be a constructive force where they live and in the places where they have influence, to bring the better angels of our nature out of the people who surround them in every sphere of their lives. And so,
Absolutely.
we're in a remarkable moment, and we are positioned as brave angels to do some remarkable things.
Well said. Well said. And we're here, so really we're here to create hope. And what better way to create hope than to showcase the leaders on the ground, our grassroots movement, which is growing by the day, and to showcase, what is Raver Angels and what are we doing? So, John, I know you're a man of the arts, and you know the power of music. So I'm going to hand it to
Mhm.
you to kick off our first two wonderful guests here.
It's possible that we have some new folks joining us on the call tonight, and I'm very glad if that's the case because you're going to have the opportunity to see some of the amazing people who are on the vanguard of Raver Angels' work and the larger civic renewal movement of which we are a part. Starting with the co-chairs of the Raver Angels music team, two dear and good friends of mine, John Carroll and Ben Karen. If we can have y'all stand up in your Zoom quarters. Actually, let me see if I can see you guys on the screen. John, there they go. There they go. Ben and John, good to see you. We're gonna have to move fast here tonight. But first of all, tell us where are you gentlemen calling in from?
So
and what are you doing?
I'm in Los Angeles. My name is Ben Karen.
I'm in Pensacola. I normally live in Nashville. I had a meeting in Pensacola, so I drove down here. So I'm on the beach tonight.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Any exciting watch party plans? You guys watching from your living room? Where are you taking in the results from?
Sad hotel room. But I'm here with y'all, and that's made my night.
Well, that'll work. Ben, John, tell us, first of all, describe your work with Raver Angels so folks understand exactly what it is you do.
Great. We work with artists to figure out all the ways that we can use music artists in particular, since we're Raver Angels music, to figure out all the ways that we can use music to facilitate discussion and bridge building work. So that actually shows up in a number of areas. Like one, we platform artists that we think are out there doing the good work. Two, we use music as like a metaphor for the creative process. And we get people to come in and write a song with us. And that through that process, that creative process, it very much models the kinds of discussion techniques that Raver Angels champions. So to where you have two different groups creating a single storyline together.
Two different groups creating a single storyline together. That was artfully and poetically said, John. And Ben, as we are here tonight as a part of our larger American Hope campaign, as it relates to your experience with Raver Angels music, can you share a quick sort of story of hope for us? What's a quick story of something that you've experienced that gives you hope in the musical work of Raver Angels?
John, I got something better than a quick story. I got a hopeful song for you today.
Right. That's
We are
right.
Raver Angels music. I'm sporting my convention T-shirt. Shout out to all the friends on the Zoom that are also wearing their shirt. And here's my anecdote. At this convention that we did in Kenosha this last year, what was really powerful was that we held these workshops where not only red and blue songwriter facilitators came together, but our Braver Angels from across the country, red and blue, came together to spend time with one another, find common ground, and to write songs together that symbolized not only American hope, but as a metaphor, like John said, what we can do when we compromise, when we collaborate together and find something creative to make with one another. And we believe, honestly, that that's a metaphor for what this country can be. And so we want to share with you all this song that was written during the national convention. And I'm going to share with you the lyrics as well, because they're very powerful. And remember that this song was co-written between equal measures of reds and blues. So let me get the screen share going here for y'all, and then we'll give it a listen.
In church beside my daddy, I learned the world was good. I trusted in the system, I did everything I should. But despite an honest effort, disappointment through the years, I could find no understanding. I fell captive to my fears. Oh, I don't know what is hope. Just have faith is what they told me, but the path I couldn't see. Had to find my way to family, where those roads are meant to meet. It's a place where we can Hope is the light that we breathe. Hope is a dance between you and me. Hope is friends that don't agree, choosing curiosity. Hope is planted like a seed, pushing up through the concrete, being brave enough to try. Hope is soaring towards the sky. I will start right here, right now. I know we'll reach a higher ground. In your city, in your town. Oh, hope is the light that we breathe. Hope is a dance between you and me. Hope is friends that don't agree, choosing curiosity. Hope is planted like a seed, pushing up through the concrete, being brave enough to try. Hope is soaring towards the sky.
Oh my God, that was awesome. I did make sure to lip sync because I was cut from choir, but that was an amazing, amazing song. So thank you guys. That was so cool. Thank you guys for, I mean, that sounds professional. So I'm going to be playing that, I know, tonight before I go to bed, tomorrow as the results continue to come in. That's going to be a comforting song, I'm sure, for all of us. So Ben, John, thank you guys for sharing what you guys do with us. The music team is such a core part of the work that we do. The arts are so important to building this movement. So thank you guys for leading that, seriously.
Mhm.
Next up, we have another amazing red-blue pair. We have Roger Haynes and Dorsey Cartwright, a red-blue pair who headed to the polls on this election day to create hope. And maybe they're still there by the judgment of the videos I'm seeing. So, hello, Dorsey. Hello, Roger. Where are you? Roger, tell us, where are you in the country right now?
Hey, what's up, fellow angels? We are at Austin Oaks Church in Austin.
And can you hear
Can
me
you hear me
okay?
okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sweet.
Sweet.
Okay, so you're at Austin Oaks Church in actually, you two are so close to each other. Do you want to share a frame?
We were
We were
trying.
I'm trying to.
We're getting
Light
a
is a
slight
little
echo.
crazy.
Yeah.
It might be
Can you see us okay?
we can see you okay. So you guys are at Austin, you're at a church there in Austin,
We're
Texas.
we're a church in Austin. You know, we're really doing what that song was just saying. We're starting in our city. So in this case, Austin, Texas.
I love it. And so you're there on election day. You're really meeting Americans where they're at. You know, Americans are heading into the polls and you guys are talking to them, as they come in and as they come out. Tell us what is something that's giving you hope today, a hopeful anecdote that you've experienced today.
You want to
Well,
go first?
yeah, a hopeful antidote for me was that I would point out, I would say, I'm blue and he's red and we voted differently, but we're here today to show we can all work together. And I just have to tell you, people would get smiles on their face and their lives would light up and they'd be interested. They'd want to know more. And it gives hope.
Absolutely. How about you? How about you for you, Roger?
Yeah, it was great meeting some people and seeing the openness to listen. I think everybody has that anxiety around this time of the election. And we could be the salve on the cut to heal and not be a wrecking ball, but be the brick in the bridge of the divide. And so I think the first step is putting legs on our hope and actually doing something. And I think it was great. We've got some people interested in coming to the meetings and some curiosity. So
Awesome. Well, maybe some folks that you were with today are now joining us. And there you guys are in the
Oh, look, there we
daylight.
are.
It's looking awesome. Vote red,
Woo.
vote blue. We're all Americans through and through. I love it. And I'll say I actually did this earlier with my dad in Michigan, a swing state. And we had a lot of fun together. Our sign said, Dad and daughter, we may disagree on politics, but we're still family. And so much like you guys, we
Oh,
got some
I love
smiles.
it.
It was a lot of fun. And I know for me, I was like, wondering, I'm like, is this what every Christmas you see these folks with Salvation Army, they're ringing the bells. And I'm like, is this what the people who did that for the first time feel like they're going out and they're doing the thing for the first time and eventually it grows and becomes a movement. But this is like, this is the foundation. This is the starting point.
you bet.
Exactly. Trying to find that first follower to build a movement.
Absolutely. And it only takes a couple. And there we
Yeah.
are. Here's my dad and I at the Baldwin
Oh,
Library.
Hey.
oh, I love it. Oh, that's so dear.
So we had a lot of fun. Oh,
That's
thank you.
awesome.
Thank you. Well, Dorsey, Roger, thank you guys for this work. Thank you for joining us and sharing what you're doing with all of us. It's so important. And, who knows, maybe some of the folks you met today are in this very Zoom. So thank you
Some of them said they were going to. We gave them
Okay.
the cards. They said they were going to do it. So, hey, thank you
Okay.
all. Thank you. Those took the cards in their own. Thank you.
Yeah. And shout out to John. I would have never heard about Raver Angels had I not found him and Glenn Lowry in like September of 2020.
Yeah.
So
I
keep it
love
up.
it. I
You're
love
very
it.
welcome, brother. Very welcome.
Thank
Yeah.
you guys. Thank you both for joining. It's so awesome to see all the work you all are doing. Thank you. All right. Next up, we are bringing in an especially incredible team here in Braver Angels, our debates team. Debates are such an important piece of our work. And so we're so excited to welcome them on tonight. We're going to have Ross, Sadie, May, Jesse, and Natalie with us. I'm seeing Ross. I'm seeing May. Hello, Sadie. Let's see. Where's our friend Jesse? Where's Natalie? There we go. There's Jesse. Jesse looks like she's with Roger and Dorsey in Austin, Texas in the dark. And I just saw Natalie, but she's popped back out, but she'll be with us shortly. But so we'll start off quickly. Ross, tell us, where are you tonight? What are you doing for election night?
I'm here in San Francisco, and I'm working with Bridge USA and on the college debates team. And tonight I will be attempting not to gouge my eyeballs out while I watch election coverage.
Something tells me you're not alone in that, Ross. All right, let's go May and then Sadie. Tell us just where you are. What are you doing tonight?
Yeah, I am in New York City. I am in Brooklyn, and I am just sitting tight, reading, distracting myself at every possible turn.
Yeah, fine. I'm finding my Zen, so I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
Gabby, hi all. I am calling in from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and I am actually at an election watch party this evening. I have stepped out of the room from mingling with folks and watching the news to join you all, but it's been exciting in the city today.
Awesome. I can only imagine. All right, Jesse, tell us where in the world are you and what are you up to right now?
I hope you can hear me okay. I am at the only Trump supporting party that we could find as 2 reds and 2 blues here in the District of Columbia. It's crazy here. And it's just a really interesting crowd, and they're interested in Raver Angels. So that's giving me hope.
All right, heck yeah. Jesse doing some on the ground recruiting and Zooming. You're doing double time, Jesse. So you're really putting in the work there. All right, and Natalie, round us out here. Where in the country are you tonight?
I'm in southern Maine, somewhere a little bit quieter, watching the election results roll in with my family.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So our debates team covers a wide range. We have our amazing College Debates and Discourse Alliance. We have our community debates program, our online debates program. But let's start with our work on college campuses. Sadie, I'd love to toss to you. Tell us about the incredible work that Raver Angels, ACTA, and Bridge USA are doing on college campuses across the country.
Yeah, thanks, Gabby. So for those of you who don't know, the 3 orgs that Gabby just listed make up what we call the College Debates and Discourse Alliance. May actually has our shirt on right now. So you can see that's us, right? A coalition of 3 different nonprofits, all with very shared similar goals of depolarization and bringing civil discourse, respectful dialogue to campuses all across the US. So this year, we have seen a huge uptick in interest in our program as we have continued to roll out Braver Angels debates, but also faculty trainings, freshman orientation workshops, new forms of dialogue programming like a Braver Campus dialogue. So we're really seeing a lot of interest on campuses as we are finding folks want to engage with our program and want to practice having respectful disagreement with one another in their classrooms, with their peers, even amongst one another, as you know, that hierarchy exists between students, faculty, and staff.
Absolutely. And Ross, I know that you all just put on a fabulous debate in the nation's capital on a particularly difficult subject. Tell us about that and what that felt for you all.
Yeah, I mean, it was really amazing, and I was going to use that as my kind of story of hope. But on October 24th, Sadie and I went down to George Washington University and debated the resolution the U.S. should cease funding to Israel, which was one where many people were worried about how that was going to go. Even people within the Bridge USA chapter there didn't really want to talk about it. And we tried to give them the courage that, hey, we can do this right. And once again, Sadie Webb chaired an excellent debate. People were glowing and loving afterwards. They were shouting from the rooftops about how they couldn't imagine how much they had in common with one another, even their arguments and their deeply held positions, and even got Inside Higher Ed to cover it, which is always cool for the actual media to be highlighting this instead of trying to divide us. So it went really well, and it was as cool as ever to be in that room and watch people see that and feel the work that we all are doing.
That is incredible. I mean, to be able to have positive and good feelings after such I'm sure, like a difficult conversation. I mean, that just speaks to the power of the work. And one thing I will say for any folks not familiar with how our debates are formatted, we choose a resolution that is on either side of the issue, and then folks speak in the affirmative or the negative. So the resolution, is not a reflection of the Braver Angels stance, but is just how we're kind of posing the debate and the question, and then people argue on either side of it. All right. May, tell us, you've worked both on community debates, you've worked on college debates. Tell us what gives you hope about this work that you all do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that gives me hope about the work that I do specifically as a program coordinator, and then also having worked with volunteers as a debate chair and just knowing debates inside and out, it feels like, is just people. Students always inspire me. Even after this election, whatever happens and however it swings, students are still going to want to talk to each other. They're still going to want to try to get people to not feel censored, and they crave that connection. Students of all ages, and also we of all ages, crave that regardless of whether we're students or not. Students of life, maybe, if you could count that. But that's kind of what inspires me every day, and that's what gives me hope and continues to. Just the thoughtfulness of people wanting to connect again.
Absolutely. Yes, I love what you said. Students still want to talk to each other, and they don't want to hear people censored. They don't want to hear people shut down. I think it's so the beauty in the work of Raver Angels, it just runs contrary to so many of the narratives that we're told in media and everywhere else. So it's such a place of hope. So thank you for all your work. Okay, Natalie, I'm going to pass it to you because you are one of the powerhouses behind our national debates program, and I would just love for you to speak to, we do this work on college campuses. It's amazing, but we don't just do it on college campuses. So tell us a little bit about how else we do this work.
Yeah, we do this also on an almost monthly basis, a little bit more frequently sometimes on the national level, and I'm seeing lots of familiar faces in the audience tonight. Many of you join us for those debates. We pick big controversial topics, and as Gabby was saying, throw out a resolution that splits the room, divides people on either side, the same way the college team does. And we bring people in from all across the country to get together and hear each other out and hear what people who disagree with them think.
Awesome. All right. And Jesse, our director of debates, close us out. Tell us, what brings you hope about this work in debates? And yeah, tell us about that.
The more I hear stories from each person who has something to share about why they're afraid, but also what gives them hope, just what we're talking about tonight. That's what we do debates for in Raver Angels, to learn about each other and what we're all experiencing together. And so, you participate in your alliances, if you really want to experience this, chat to us. We'd love to bring it to you. We really believe in this for a reason. You'll learn about people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we don't just do debates online. We don't just do them on college campuses. We do them in communities across the country, and those are super powerful. I've been part of them myself. And I love what Jesse just said. You know, we do these debates not just to learn about the issues, but to really learn about each other. So thank you, debates team. You guys are crushing it as always. So thank you so much for joining us. And next up, we have a fabulous Mrs. Utah. John, I'll kick it to you to talk to our friend Stacy Proctor.
Well, there are, of course, many folks on this call for whom Stacy Proctor needs no introduction. But Stacy, my dear friend Stacy, the incredibly talented veteran of the arts and a bit of a resident celebrity, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us where you're zooming in from and how you are spending this election evening, Stacy?
Thanks, John. I'm so happy to be here with you all. I really, truly feel like we're an extended family of each other. We all have common values and a mission. And so I'm really, really grateful to be here with you. So I'm zooming in from Vineyard, Utah. And tonight I'm home with my family. And we have some neighbors over and we're just following along with elections. And we have some hot apple pie that's about to come out of the oven that we'll be enjoying a la mode. I think good food is a great way to.
Very American of you, Stacy.
It's very American.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Stacy, tell us a little bit about your work and experience with Raver Angels and or just sort of the work of Bridging the Divide.
Sure. So I was so fortunate to be able to attend the national convention, and there I was able to share a little bit about one of the projects I'm involved in here in my own local community, which is building an actual bridge. So we have in Vineyard a city divided by train tracks, and on one side we have it's an economic division. It's even just families who live on one side of the tracks do not have access to parks and amenities, and the kids don't have access to come to sports and after school programs. And so it's a literal divide. And it's been quite a challenge to get all of the different parties with competing agendas to be able to get on the same page and say, this is a real need that we have in our community to bridge this divide. And we're fortunate in that we've been able to make some incredible progress. We have some funding in the works for next stages in the bridge's development. So it's moving forward and it's serving as this incredible symbol, not just in our community, but across the state. And another thing that I've been able to do with Raver Angels is we've hosted a series of collaborative discourse dinners where we've been able to, as a local community, come together and talk about some of our most divisive topics and really lay the foundation for collaborative communication. It's a skill set that it can be lost within a community, especially in really heated and divided times. So we've been grateful to have Raver Angels here to help guide the way and facilitate finding common ground workshops, facilitate these dinners. And lastly, one of the recent activities I was able to be involved with Raver Angels Utah was hosting a dinner and debate and film screening of the new film called The Basement Talks. And it's about abortion. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. It's fabulous. That in particular, my husband and some other family members came and attended with other people from across the state of Utah. And I was really impacted by watching my husband's transformation, even in this particular debate. It's a topic that was very sensitive, that he was very nervous to talk about. And coming into this environment of safety and this environment of empathy and understanding with really intelligent conversation, but also just people who care deeply. And to hear all these sides, he came away just feeling so free and so empowered. And he was like, I feel like there really is just room for all of us and room for every opinion. And I ended up feeling uplifted and informed by every single opinion that came across the table. And we really are so much more similar at our heart than we are different.
Yeah, indeed. Well, Stacy, you put that in a beautiful way. And your efforts are a landmark, I think, for the widening breadth of Braver Angels activities. And your addition to our community has really meant a lot to a lot of people. And so I just want to tell you that with a great deal of earnestness and sincerity.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you so much for being with us here, Stacy and Gabby. I know we've got a lot of great folks to get to. So tell us who's next.
All right. Well, we have the one, the only, the fabulous Monica Guzman and David Albright. Woo! We have our Braver Way team. Hello. Hello, Monty. Hello, David, our storytellers in chief.
Hello, hello. Hang on 1 second. There we go. We are now coming through on our fancy podcast mic. Oh, yes.
I love it. Very, very on theme for a Braver Way podcast. Got to get the audio check. All right. So, David, tell us about a Braver Way podcast for anyone on this call who hasn't listened to it yet. And for anyone who hasn't, you absolutely should. But for anyone who hasn't, tell us about a Braver Way podcast.
Look, you should tell us about a Braver Way podcast. She's so much better at this stuff than me.
Okay, I'll hop in. Yes, so A Braver Way, the podcast, is all about equipping people with the tools they need to bridge the political divide. It's a production of Braver Angels. It's really grounded and rooted in this community, the stories, the confidence that we have in each other, and a lot of the tools that we've discovered through the work Braver Angels has done, through the wisdom that regular people all across the country have discovered. And we're bringing it up to the level of narrative, of storytelling, and strategies. So we're having a really great time. Season 2 is about to wrap up. And we have an episode that came out yesterday that's all about surviving this election.
Absolutely. I mean, I know I listen to a Braver Way when I just need some like grounding in the world. And I'm just like, I need that wisdom to figure out how to navigate this moment or just to learn about it. David, I know for you, a Braver Way, working on this podcast was kind of your entry point into Braver Angels. So I'd love to hear about, what has that been like, to come into this work and to work on this podcast and to help Monica do the incredible storytelling that she does. Just tell us about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, it's just a gift to be able to work with Monica and be able to help translate her ideas and her words into a podcast. So that's been great. And then I guess just for the podcast overall, thinking back to the election 4 years ago, sort of my perception of the other side politically was so different than it is now. And it was just so much more confusing and confounding, thinking about like, why is politics the way it is? So thinking back to 4 years ago, like I have such a clear picture now of what's happening in the country, and that's just been great.
Yeah. I remember you said something a while ago that like, through working on this podcast, you now have people in mind when they're talking about people across the political spectrum. There's someone that comes to mind. So that's really powerful. That's awesome. Monica, I know you guys are incredible at, not just telling these stories, but also collecting them and how this work is impacting people on the ground. So I'd love to hear from you. Like, what gives you hope about this work? What is the story that you're excited to share about it? Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh, there's too many. There's just too many. But I will say that today, watching people in election day show up to the episode that we've put out and the thank yous that they're sending in, the testimony that they're sending in about, I feel calmer, I feel more steady. You're right. There are things we can do. There are things we can control, even though we can't control the result. I think that there is so much more awareness of that and exhaustion with the status quo than there was 4 years ago, than there was 8 years ago. So I see just a whole nation really ready to step up and to think about these things differently and more aware of their own power. That's the thing that gives me the most hope, because I really think that the main way, the biggest threat to our democracy is if we believe it's not ours to keep and to hold and to preserve and to work on.
Mm-hmm. And, voices like yours and the work that you guys do is so powerful because, we do incredible work at Braver Angels and we just need to get it further and further out there for people to hear about and to know about. Even just before I jumped on this Zoom, I was talking to my mom and she was really worried today. She was worried all day. And then she heard from someone super influential to her, someone she listens to all the time in the news. And she said, that person told me that they weren't going to worry. So now I'm not going to worry. And it just goes to show that, these people that, your listeners, Monty, you're in their ears, you're talking to them day in, day out. And so when they hear from you and they hear from Monica, like, we got to stay steady, we got to control what we can, you make such a direct impact on their lives. So, I mean, I know I'm a number one listener. It's a gift of a lifetime to be able to get the sneak preview to the episodes. That's one of my flexes at Braver Angels. That's a privilege of the role.
Yes, Gabby will text me like, vibes. You know, like a couple days before it comes out, and I'm like, oh, Gabby liked it. Yay. It's fun.
Most importantly, Monty, I do have a pressing question, which is, can you show us those fabulous nails that I keep getting?
Oh, I'm so glad you noticed. Literally went to the nail salon today. And this happened, y'all.
Those are
Shiny,
awesome.
red, blue. We've got those vibes. We've got pluralistic, cross-partisan vibes over here tonight. So
Somebody say those are Braver nails. Braver nails. And actually, we do have Brian in New Hampshire does often paint his one hand blue and one hand red and show the cross section of his fingers to represent the work of Braver Angels. So love it, love it. Spread the work no matter in any way you can, whether it's your nails, your hair, your eyeshadow.
That's next election. I'll have blue hair. Promise.
I love it. I love it. All right. Well, thank you guys. And for anyone looking for a Bravery podcast, really quickly, where do they find you all?
braverangels.org/a braver way, or anywhere you find podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or we're on all the platforms.
Awesome. And yeah, as Monty mentioned, they just came out with an amazing episode yesterday. I know I listened to myself when I was trying to find my Zen. And so recommend to all of you. So thank you, David. Thank you, Monty.
Yes. And thank you to Jessica Jones, our producer, is upstairs watching the election results. And I think we're going to cede to your next guest. Is that right?
That is
maybe.
right. All right.
I think our next guest is also in Seattle and is just going to sidle on in. So we're
I love it. I was going to say another powerhouse legend of Raver Angels. Here we have her, Elizabeth Dahl. Amazing.
And Mr. Michael Cooper in addition. And so, well, that works out well. I am going to have to up my nail polish game, apparently, to keep up with Monty's patriotic fashion. Next time around, actually, I might not even try to keep up with Monty on that point. But Elizabeth and Michael, it is beautiful to have you all here. And why don't you you don't have to tell us where you are because we already know where you are, Elizabeth. Michael, where are you zooming in from?
So I am in Durham, North Carolina tonight, in a swing state, very important state. So a lot going on here.
Yeah. Okay. How's the mood in Durham?
Well, this is a heavy Harris area in Durham, so folks are a little bit cautious, optimistic, but we'll see. But I've spent time in this last few weeks in some rural parts, and they're very optimistic too. So it's really going to be a long night here, maybe tomorrow before we know.
Yeah, I imagine so. Well, great, fantastic. Well, first of all, Elizabeth, Michael, why don't you go ahead and just tell the folks very quickly what you do with Braver Politics and what Braver Politics, in fact, is.
Yeah, I'm the director of Braver Politics at Braver Angels, which means that I run the Braver Politics program. We do the community workshops and skills workshops that Braver Angels does, but we take them specifically to elected officials, candidates, and their staff members all over the country, along with party leaders and people who are actively engaged in the political process in this country. And I absolutely love that we get to do that.
Now, speaking of love and hope, for that matter, Elizabeth, I mean, you're a veteran of Raver Angels, and Michael, you've been in the community for a long time, as well. I can think of conversations you and I have had going back years at this point. It's hard to do this, but do either or both of you have a quick anecdote that you can share about your experience with Braver Angels or an experience with Braver Angels that gives you hope in this moment where Americans need hope so much?
I'll jump in. I'd love to tell a story from a Red Blue workshop that I moderated last year in Southwestern Washington. We were in the questions exercise, and one person asked a question about what sources of information should we trust? And one of the Blues said that, we should really be able to trust government sources, and we should have groups like the NIH and the CDC and NOAA that are considered trustworthy sources of facts that are not disputed, and there should be no editorial touching by government. It should be funding only, and we should be able to always look to those government agencies to provide us our facts. And before a Red could respond to that, one of the other blues jumped in and said, absolutely not. I will not look to the government to tell me what I should believe. That is not what the government is supposed to do. I don't want the government to be my source of truth. I don't teach my kids that. She's a teacher. She's like, that is not what I tell my kids in my junior high classes. They are not supposed to just believe whatever the government tells them. That is not acceptable. And then one of the other Reds, all the Reds started laughing, and one of them that was sitting next to her actually tore her name tag in half, and we had name tags with red and blue borders. And so she tore her red name tag in half and handed it to this blue woman, and the blue woman slapped it on across the bottom half of her blue name tag, and the Red said, there, you're an honorary Red now. And for the rest of the red blue workshop, the last piece of it, it was just their inside joke. She was an honorary Red. And then they told the story to the whole group, and it was just a really heartwarming thing at the end of the workshop. They gave each other a big hug, and it was great.
Elizabeth, you just made that up. You just made that up because I asked you for a story. That story is far too perfect for it to have just come off the. If I wasn't a part of Raver Angels, I would think that you made that up. But actually, stuff like that does kind of happen more or less all the time, doesn't it? So, Elizabeth, Michael, we do deeply appreciate both of you for the phenomenal work that you've done, and I hope that the folks who are joining us this evening get a chance to see it up close and personal and to learn more about it as we progress. And so now, Gabby, back over to you and whomever we have coming through the door.
All right, our two wonderful mystery guests. We got Larry Mays and Walt, and they have done some incredible work that is especially relevant now. It is how to restore trust in our elections. I know that this work came up after the last election cycle. So maybe Larry, kick us off. Tell us, what is the Trustworthy Elections campaign? What did you all do with it?
Well, I'm in the emeritus role here with my buddy Walt McKee, but it started for us at least in a workshop at Boston College, in which we brought together those who were considered MAGA as well as progressives in terms of an in-person workshop, looking at this narrow question of what would a trustworthy election look like, right? And then from there, the success of that workshop, there were 26 workshops across the country. There were, in terms of over 700 different, if you can imagine, different agreements or unanimous agreements, if you will, or what we call points of agreements throughout this process. And then from there, we produced a report back in March of this year, looking at, I think, 7 core areas that came out of that exercise. Walt?
Thank you, Larry. I'm Walt McKee. With Larry, I'm Red co-chair. He's Blue co-chair of the Trustworthy Elections campaign, which produced the report that he referred to. And just to comply with the directives that came through the email, I'm at a neighbor's house tonight. We're having a watch party. And what I'm mostly doing these days with Raver Angels is with my co-conspirator, Larry Mays, we're doing podcasts to promote the report. And it's to be honest with you, it's a lot of fun. It's kind of the fun payoff to the grueling 13 years that we spent working on that project.
13.
Actually, I think it was more like 2 years, and it only felt like 10. But I would say that as far as an anecdote that gave me hope, in the course of doing this report, of producing that work, there was 12 of us, and there's the temptation to just stick to the mechanics of the business, but it became a realization for everybody there that Trustworthy Elections is more than just the counting of the ballots and things like that, the mechanics. It was doing things to ensure that everyone felt it was trustworthy. And in that spirit, different things would come up, like voter ID or having election day a national holiday, and things like that. That out in the talking heads popular culture, there would be just knee-jerk pushback on some of these things. But people approach these issues with the sense that they were part of something bigger than themselves and bigger than the personal biases that they brought in, with their own history, and strived to come to, as we called it, a collaborative consensus. Strived to come to agreements that not only they felt like they and the people they represented could live with, but realizing that these things were important to the other side, so to speak, and that gave it a life of its own, that they wanted to come through for their fellow Americans in that way. I'll tell you, I came away from, I wish everyone could have in their hearts the feelings that we came away from this process with. And that's what we're trying to share through the podcast and our upcoming best-selling book. Just kidding.
Well, one of the things in terms of an anecdote, a great experience, last year in Gettysburg at the convention, Walt had this plan, and he went in the trunk of his car and he pulled out a couple of lawn chairs and cigars. And so we smoked cigars. I have never had a cigar in my absolute life. And I don't smoke, I don't do any of that kind of stuff. But I did it with my red buddy because, we were on this journey together, right? And we were determined to do something right, something unique, we felt, with this trustworthy election campaign. And so it was a blast, and watching people walk by is like, who are these two crazy guys
at midnight
having cigars? But it was a blast of an opportunity, and I really think it helped us in terms of our relationship, knowing that we would have to push through going forward, for the at least from that point, another year or so to get the report done and everything else that was a part of it.
I love it. Well, you guys bring the fun to this work, which is cool, because it's like this work it's important, but it's not just eat your vegetables. Like, it's like you guys can have fun with it, and you do. And I will say, I believe my first Zoom call with Walt ever, he was smoking a cigar. So I can endorse that Walt often is with a cigar and makes it look really cool, honestly. So I've never had a cigar myself, but Walt, maybe at the next convention.
It was a non-alcoholic toast.
There we go. There we go. Well, to the two troublemakers of the Trustworthy Elections team, thank you for all your work. You guys are awesome, and you make it fun and you get results, which is huge. So thank you both for joining us tonight.
Our pleasure.
Salute you all. Thank you. Be well. See you later then, Walt.
Take care.
All right, John, I'll kick it to you, and I think we're gonna here introduce a really amazing aspect of our work, the Braver Network. So I'll kick it to you to talk about that.
Well, that is correct, Gabby. And of course, Braver Angels is a community, a national community of practice, and as folks are already able to see over the course of this call, if you didn't know already, there are many different people doing different things. But Braver Angels does consider itself to be a part of a larger movement in America, a movement that draws from all 50 states, but also from many different organizations, many of whom interact with us through something we refer to as Braver Network. And so who we have here today is Brett Morden and Lance Walker, both of whom lead organizations that are represented within the ranks of Braver Network, and both of whom are also phenomenal individuals and champions of the work and spirit that you all are bearing witness to tonight. Brent, Lance, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate it. Where are the two of you zooming in from, and how are y'all spending the election?
Thank you for the warm introduction, John and Gabby. Good to see you both. Good to see you, Lance. My brother's named Lance, so I'm used to being paired with a person named Lance. So I appreciate it. I am joining you all here tonight from Second Avenue and East 9th Street in a small town called New York City, where the New York Young Republican Club's election night party is happening. I just stepped out to say hi and join you all here tonight to be with my people. And the energy is very electric. So I'm going to pass it over to Lance to hear your side of the story, my friend.
Well, I'm talking to you all from Chambersburg, right outside of Gettysburg, where we had the national convention last year. In my barbershop, actually, I just finished my last client right before I got on the call. So I've been hustling and bustling all day long, cutting hair, trimming beards, and such, and having dialogue about the elections and how things are going. And yeah, it's been a good day. It's been a good day for me.
Beautiful. Well, Lance, let me just throw this question to you, brother, just very quickly. How does a barbershop wind up being a pivotal organization in this larger network of groups aiming to depolarize America? How did that happen?
Well, historically, and most people know that historically barbershops have been gathering places, especially when you look back at the civil rights movement. The church and the barbershops were gathering places for dissemination of information and getting caught up on what was going on and what direction things were going to go in. And so my barbershop isn't any different. Actually, my clientele is pretty much a cross section of what America looks like. It's I've got all of the age groups, all of the ethnic groups. I want to say all of them, but a good bit of them. 40% white, 40% black, 20% other. And at any given moment, you have a group of people who, under normal circumstances, their paths wouldn't cross. All the other shops that I've ever worked in have been lean heavy one direction or the other as far as ethnicity is concerned. This is the only shop, and I'm 57 years old. I've been cutting hair since 84. And this is the first shop that I've seen that it has the type of diverse clientele with the conversation that actually takes place at any given moment, because these people are in this space and dialogue comes up. And I've cultivated a atmosphere and a culture that we can do it in a respectful way.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. And Brent, we are on the clock, my friend. So I'm going to ask you to do this quickly. But you are a leader of the New York Young Republican Club, correct? Which is a part of Braver Network. Share with us a story or a fact about your experience with Braver Angels, whether as leader of that club or in some other aspect of your work, because you've contributed in so many different ways, that gives you hope. Oh, Brent is muted. We're gonna have to unmute Brent.
Okay,
So
I think we're back.
There we go.
I think we're back. You know, John, what gives me hope is this, as cliche as it sounds, you know, the fact that the Raver Angels guys, we wanted a strong New York Young Republican Club presence at the convention.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to hear our voices, you wanted to hear our perspective. And that I was able to get eight of our members, some of whom are skeptical about Braver Angels, but I won them over to say, come on, just check what it's all about. They want to hear our perspective. Just getting them there and seeing what Braver Angels is all about, that there are people on the other side who are fantastic people who are open to having conversations. That inspired all of us. Just seeing the collaborations between NYYRC and other organizations on the ground here in New York City. You know, there's a moment I'll share with you, a little anecdote. And Gabby, you know this story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our first debate that we hosted, our launch event for our New York City Alliance at the Comedy Cellar, iconic comedy venue. There were, it was on Smash the Patriarchy. That was the topic of the debate. And so we had two in negative, two affirmative. They were really hashing it out. You know, words were flying. It was very, very fiery, right? And then the debaters who were just really debating, a few minutes before. Afterwards, we all went to a bar. We all went around the corner to the Olive Tree Cafe, and we were all having drinks together and meeting each other and laughing. The same people who were on stage saying, this person is wrong about this, yada, da, 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 were laughing, meeting each other, getting to know each other as human beings, which that was a really, really striking visual for all of us. That I know Gabby loves that moment and loves to tell that story as well, because it just perfectly encapsulates what we're all about, which is that at the end of the day, we're all human beings, right? We have reasons for believing what we believe. And as a political minority in New York City, we got to realize not everybody hates us, and we can have a drink with people and vice versa. So that's given me a little bit of hope.
I love it. I can't wait for our next beer, Brent.
Yes. Yes. Well, I got a beer waiting for me inside here.
All right. We'll let you go, Brent. But thank you.
Yes. You need anything else from me? We good?
No, Brent, you're free to enjoy your party. Have fun, my brother. All right.
Brent and Lance, thank you both.
Thank you,
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right. Next up, we have two incredible guests. We have Eddie Jones and Alex Crawley, who help lead the Wilmington Alliance. So Eddie and Alex are here to really speak to the work of Raver Angels, which is our grassroots work, our field operation. So thank you both for coming on. Thank you, Alex. Hello. Welcome. So Alex, tell us, you are in North Carolina. Tell us what are you up to for this election night event? And we need you to, okay. I'm asking on you. I don't know if this is working. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, I think we're in. Hey, thanks so much. Glad to be here. Yeah, sorry, what was the question?
My TV just got unmuted. We have muted. TV's unmuting. You're muted. The question was, where you're in North Carolina, of course, Wilmington. Where are you? What are you doing for the election tonight? How are you bringing it in?
Yeah, I'm just at home with my wife and my dog, and honestly, we're just trying to not consume too much election coverage, do a little bit of distracting. We'll get to all that tomorrow. Just trying to, it's been a busy day, a lot of news coming out and a lot of different, emotions, and just trying to sort of ease into whatever comes of tonight and the next couple of days, but not trying to, drink too much from the fire hose because there's a lot out there right now.
That's good. It's a good practice because again, it can be so tempting to like jump on Twitter, jump on social media, jump on cable news and try to just consume. But I totally agree. I think, when you get some space from it and you can, you just see what the result is and you navigate from there. So I love it. I love to hear that. So Alex, you help lead our Wilmington Alliance in North Carolina. Tell us about the work. I think you guys did a pretty incredible candidate debate. Is that correct? I'd love to hear about the work that you did there.
Yeah, and actually, I think he's in the chat somewhere, but Eddie could speak to it better than I could because he actually helped moderate the town hall we had. But we'll see if he hops on here. But yeah, it was.
Can you guys hear me? I can't. For some reason, my video's not working.
All right, come on in, Eddie. Yes.
Sorry about that. I have a face for radio. Unlike John, I don't have a pretty face anyway. Sorry, but I apologize. Technical difficulties. 58-year-old struggles.
Oh, good.
No worries, Eddie. Well, Alex just said that you moderated the town hall that you did. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, we met with David Hill and Michael Lee, and it was we didn't really want a debate format because we didn't want them to argue and go back and forth at each other. So Nancy Cunningham, who is my co-chair and co-founder of Raver Angels Wilmington, more or less moderated it. We just asked the questions. And that was probably the hardest part of the whole thing, is trying to find the right questions to ask and put it on a personal level to see, the candidates' personal views on how they got to making the decisions that they make.
Absolutely. So, you put this together. Can I just ask you, how did you get involved? How did you reach out to these candidates? How did you get them to town hall in the first place?
Well, to Michael Lee's son, I coached in lacrosse. I volunteered to coach at a high school here. I own a shipping company, so I kind of had a relationship beforehand with him. And actually, Nancy is friends with David Hill's wife, and she asked him, and we're like, "This is going to be pretty cool." And they heard about us through we did an interview on NPR, and they listened to the interview, and they knew a little bit about us before we even went in there. So it was relatively easy. They were both excited to do it, and we're great, both of them. They were fantastic.
That's awesome. I mean, it just goes to show it's so much about connections and, fostering those relationships. I will also mention that my brother is a lacrosse coach, so you do have that in common.
There you go.
It's great sport. I played lacrosse in high school. Okay, Alex, I would love to hear, what gives you hope about this work that you do in Wilmington, whether it was a town hall or anything else. I'd love to hear from you about, what's giving you hope tonight.
Yeah, well, I mean, the town hall was certainly a great example of the type of impact that, Brave Angels can have in a community. I mean, we took a really hot race, state senate race that if you turn on the TV, pretty much every, commercial break, you're getting at least one ad from either of the two candidates, and some of them, aren't always so nice. And you took this campaign that was, sort of contentious and not always the most civil, and then you brought the two candidates actually into a shared space with their community, and to see them totally buy into the type of civility and empathy that we prescribe here was, I mean, it was amazing, because I didn't know if they had it in them, and they really showed the community that they could, and that our political community could be above it. So that was, I mean, as far as encouraging moments goes, that's got to be near the top. And Eddie, I don't know if you had any other sort of takeaways from there, but I thought it was an amazing.
Yeah, the town hall was really good, and we had a lot of help with the UNCW, where we met Sadie and May. They did a debate at UNCW a while back, and that was really great. And we've done some other things, and the school board wanted us to, after they saw how that town hall went, they got in touch with us to see if we would moderate a school board debate, which was really cool. We just ran out of time. But it was neat that they saw it and they liked it, and it was a different point of view. So that in 2 years, 4 years, hopefully they come back looking, because it did go pretty well, and it was a lot of people that got involved, like the professors, and we went to the sociology department and spoke at a class and taught a class there for a day, and it was really neat to see the young kids get involved.
That's out. You guys are crushing it. That is so cool. And it's like such a testament to the impact that, our grassroots leaders can have on a community. It's really is brick by brick. So it's awesome that you guys were able to bring in these local leaders for this conversation, one that I'm sure they never would have had otherwise. So thank you all for the work that you're doing on the ground. And thank you to all of our grassroots leaders. So thank you, Alex. Thank you, Eddie. And next up, we have some.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Well, thank you very much once again. Gabby, I am very pleased that we have with us Mark Beckwith and Lenny Greenberg as representatives of Braver Angels, Braver Faith work. And, truth be told, and Mark, I know you and I have talked about this, there is no movement to bridge the divide in America that really has moral force and credibility that can really affect its goal, if communities of faith are not deeply a part of that. So Mark, Lenny, first of all, tell us just where you guys are joining us from. Lenny, I can see you're by the Golden Gate Bridge, so that gets me. But tell us where you guys are joining us from, and we're fighting the clock here a little bit, but tell us quickly about the work that you do with Braver Faith. Oh, Mark is muted.
Mark, you muted.
I'm Mark Beckwith. I'm in Jaffrey, New Hampshire, and I'll start with what I did today. It came from our team, this pair's idea of two people standing at polling places. I stood for 2 hours with a friend of mine. He's red, I'm blue. We had lots of people engaged in what we were doing. It was a visual, it was street theater. Some would say it is public liturgy. Braver Faith has been in the process of organizing. Now we have a page on the website, and we're engaging people of faith across the board. I'm Christian, Lenny's Jewish. We have Reds and Blues on our team. We have Braver Catholics, Braver Episcopalians. We'll have Braver Unitarians. Hopefully we'll have other braver groups. And my commitment is that, as you said, John, this movement of depolarization, I translate that as reconciliation, and that is a foundational component of what it means to be a faith community. In Hebrew, the term is tikkun olam, and we've been engaging that, trying to engage more and more faith communities in this movement. Lenny.
Yes, Mark. So yeah, I'm in San Jose right now. We don't have a cool bridge, so I put the cool bridge here. And I promise not to sing or show you my nails. What I wanted to say was one of the things that I'm enjoying seeing is taking some of our workshops and customizing them for our particular faith communities, because even our own faith communities need depolarization from within. Those are getting launched, and they're very being piloted, and they've been very successful. I think that gives me a lot of hope. Those are the things I'm seeing that's going on, and also the work we're doing together in our group that Mark leads is that we're coming also across with multiple faith communities, and I'm learning a lot from that, and I'm learning a lot from what's going on between different faith practices. And I just want to add, on our page, we do have an election resource which has some really good prayers from different faith outlooks. So please take a look at that.
And following the election, we will have resources that will go up just before Thanksgiving for people to contribute their thoughts, their gratitude for the country, their hopes for the country, their concerns for the country, and what each person is committing to do to help hold America together. So that will be coming out just before Thanksgiving, and we will select various responses to what people offer and put them up on the website, and Braver Angels will put that out, and we'll monitor that throughout the election season leading up to Inauguration Day. So we want to give people the opportunity to express their feelings and also offer up their witness as we continue to develop this movement.
Amen. Well, Brother Mark, Brother Lenny, it is a great pleasure to have you both here this evening. And the work of Braver Angels and the work of Braver Faith continues to grow. And I suspect that it is going to be tremendously impactful in the time to come. So I thank you both. And Gabby, I'm going to toss it back to you while I grab my charging cord, because I'm realizing that the battery on my laptop is alarmingly low. So I'm going to swivel on the side for 2 seconds.
I have been there. I have been there, John. So no worries. Our next guest, I'm going to say she needs no introduction. She doesn't even need a last name. She just needs 2 letters. We got Mary TV here to talk about her incredible work with Braver School. So Mary, well, first, let's kick it off. Where are you in the country right now, and how are you bringing in the election?
Well, I'm in Irvine, California, and I've kind of avoided the news, but I've been working on getting ready for the documentary filming, The Road Across a Divided Country, which you are featured in. So people go to the Braver Angels website, find a screening. It's really uplifting. It was great to see so many of the faces of Braver Angels in that event. So that's what I was doing today, is getting ready for that.
Awesome. Well, that's a great plug, because I haven't seen it yet, so I'm excited. I don't know. It's not one of those things you don't really want to see yourself on screen, but if
You'll love it. You're great.
All right, thank you. Okay, Mary, can you tell us about the work that you do with Braver Schools?
So I'm a lifelong teacher, and I've been a moderator for Braver Angels, and I really wanted to see how we could get teens involved. So I created a Depolarizing Within version for teens. We don't have the politics in it, but we teach about how to avoid stereotyping, to reduce polarization. We teach the lap skills, and we use very interactive social, emotional issues that relate to kids. And it's been really successful. We've done it in many states. There's many people doing it. And then there's other workshops that other Braver Angel members have done, and they're all wonderful. So I was asked to share a story from one of these one of these events. So if that's okay, it's a story that many of you've heard, but someone said, please share that story. So about a week after the October 2023 attack on Israel, I was doing the teen version of the depolarizing within that I talked about. And after we talked about the lap skills, for those of you who don't know that, it's listen to understand. A is acknowledge and agree when you can. P is a pivot. It's a signal to let people know that you'd like to share. And then P is to offer your perspectives. So at the end of the workshop, I asked the students, 40 middle schoolers, how would you like to use these skills? And one boy raised his hand immediately, but he was also shaking. And when I start telling the story, I feel myself shaking too, because the intensity of the moment was big. And it was important to note that this boy was wearing a yarmulke, and it was right after that attack. So what was amazing, he used the handout and he had many of the workshop learnings in his answer. And he said, I am so relieved to know that I'm more than the stereotype. I am more complicated than I am, and I do have different life experiences than others. And I want to remember these points about others too. Then the boy, now remember, this is a 14-year-old, now close to tears, looked almost pleadingly to the boy next to him as if to ask permission. And by now, all 40 kids and me are watching this nonverbal interaction. And the other boy gave him a reassuring look, but really didn't know what the young man was going to say. And he said, this is my best friend. We've been friends for since we were 4 years old. He is Muslim and I am Jewish. And now the people in our lives, the adults in our lives, are telling us we cannot hang out together. We can no longer be friends. So then he said, I'm going to use these lap skills. He was holding up the handout. When my parents and others object to seeing my friend, I will listen and acknowledge their feelings. I will try to make them feel heard. And then I'll ask, is it okay to tell you how I feel? I'll say, we've been friends for most of our lives, and we can't let this war stop our friendship, even though we know it's going to be hard. So anyway, knowing the room froze, the boy is tearing up at the end, and I didn't know what was going to happen. The pin, you could hear a pin drop. And then all of a sudden, the Muslim boy hugged his Jewish friend. The room started applauding, and we all were fighting back tears. So
You got
that's
me. There, I was like, I feel like I'm in the room with you. Oh my gosh, it's like I mean, how much more powerful of a story can you get? That's incredible. And again, it just speaks to the work, like, our kids need to know, the polarization affects them, right? When they see these things tearing the adults in their lives apart, and they don't know what it means for them or their friendships. And so what a powerful gift you're giving these kids, just the ability to maintain their friendships and talk about these things.
Well, the other thing is the teens that I've worked with from 6th grade, Monica Guzman's son was in one of my workshops in Washington in 6th grade, all the way through college students. They tell me that they don't believe, civility is possible. They don't see it in their lifetime modeled on the news and whatever. And then we do takeaways, posters that we put around the room, and they fill out what they feel. And I mean, they go, I'm going to use this with my dad, or yes, this is possible, or, they have hope. And that's what gives me hope.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Mary. Thank you for all the work you do. And thank you for sharing a bit more about it. I mean, how powerful. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, it's an honor to share this story.
All right, John, to you.
Thank you, Gabby. We have an in memoriam segment in our program today. And I don't want to steal any thunder from our guest, William Ellis, but I do want to say this very quickly. I've been in Raver Angels for 7 years now. I started as a volunteer in the fall of 2017. And in that time, I've seen some wonderful people come and go, long enough period of time for us to have lost a few incredible people, just people who I was friends with. One of them was our late Indiana State coordinator, Don Bird, who you'll hear more about. But I just want to say that Don, perhaps, and I don't just say this because of the occasion, perhaps more than anybody else I can think of, embodied the pure heart of what it is to be in Braver Angels, the unconditional love and charity and goodwill for his fellow Americans. He lived this every day. And prior to getting here this evening, I took a moment and I went back and I looked at all the emails Don had sent me over all the years I've been involved with Braver Angels. And I just wanted to read this one he sent me, May 17th, 2022. It's just a couple of sentences, but he told me, he said, here's a tidbit you media folks might want to use. He said, I had a dream last night in which I'm talking to two young women behind a counter. That's all I remember of the context. But anyway, I have the feeling that they could be influencers in some way. I start telling them about Braver Angels, specifically about the Red, Blue, and Skills for Bridging the Divide workshops. They understood it, and it seemed like they wanted to help spread the word. That's it. Don ate and drank, woke and slept Braver Angels day in and day out. And he was ever faithful to the things that we believed. And so with that, I want to turn it over to William Ellis to help us memorialize Don Bird.
Am I on yet? Can you see me?
I hear you.
Okay, hear me. All right.
Let's get the camera back on him too. Thank you.
You don't have to see me. Don, that picture of Don epitomizes how I remember him. He always had a smile on his face. There was never a problem, especially when it came to Braver Angels, that he may not have the solution for, but he always made us feel it's going to be all right. And I think that that really is what we go for Braver Angels. Our country's being ripped apart from a lot of people's perspective, but we're trying to make people feel it's going to be all right. And I remember first time Don called me, it was out of the blue. I'm the Republican chairman in Monroe County, Indiana. And matter of fact, tonight we're at a watch party. And I remember he called me and said he has this group he's starting, and that would I have any Republican leaning Reds that'd be introduced or that'd be interested in a group that would want to learn how to discuss issues and actually see people for who they are and not just for who they vote for, what side they represent. And without hesitation, I said, absolutely, I do. He goes, who? I said, me. And I think he was really surprised that I'd jump in. But part of it was because when he called, when I get a call from this, going back in 2017, when I got calls from Democrats at that time, they weren't necessarily nice ones and saying, hey, let's come together. And Don, right off the bat, there's something about him. There's something different. And I think that difference brought us closer together. We formed our alliance. We had gotten together, and our first alliance is actually, I made my network television debut on MSNBC. Don never stopped joking to me about that. And the thing I'm going to miss the most with Don is I have this dry sense of humor. He didn't get half the jokes, but we played it well. Anytime we would do a presentation, Don and I worked together. And it was, I cannot imagine Braver Angels without Don. And it's going to be tough. I'm not going to lie. And at his service, one of the things I said to everybody is a lot of people there, knew him from school, knew him from his education, his family. And I said, if you want to truly honor Don and his passion, that one of the quotes he loved is what Lincoln said. I don't like that man. I bet I need to get to know him better. And I challenged the people there. I said, find it in honor of Don. The people you don't like, get to know him better. And it's like that simple thing epitomizes how Don felt about everybody at Braver Angels. We had some pretty tough conversations. in workshops, not him and I, but other people, Don was always the guide star. He was one that was always able to just, hey, let's talk about this. And I know if you got to see Don and got to work with him, I know he had an impact on your life, and he had a very big impact on mine. And I miss him. Not gonna lie, it's not gonna be the same without him. And I hope that we can pick up the slack here in South Central Indiana. I mean, not hope, we will. But Raver Angels, to honor him, I think just keep getting to know people that you don't like. Get to know them better.
Yeah.
That's really what I had to say.
Well, thank you so much for saying it, William, and for helping us honor the memory and the legacy of a good and decent and kind man.
Yes.
And we will miss him, and we will not forget him. And Gabby, I think we have a video maybe that we can share.
We do. Can we screen share that video?
Do you guys mind if I take off? I've got 3 or 4 people motioning for me.
Go ahead, William.
All right.
You'll still be on screen with the video.
This video epitomizes our sense of humor. What I was talking about. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much.
Thanks, William. All right, let's play it.
Tired of getting yelled at when you mention Trump or Biden over family dinner? Tired of mashed potatoes turning into World War III? Well, look no further. Raver Angels is a solution. And for the low price of $19.99, we can help.
Oh, William, we aren't charging.
What? We aren't making money at this?
No, we're a nonprofit and we're doing this to help the country.
Wow, I see your point. The country is worth saving. But at least we're getting paid for doing this, right?
No, we're donating our time, and this is too important to put a price tag on anyway.
Actually, you're right. We do have the tools to help, and the country is worth saving.
Exactly. See, a red and a blue can agree, and even if we didn't, we'd gain understanding with Raver Angels.
So what you're saying, there is a chance to make money?
No, but there's a chance to save the communities, families, fabric, and everything else that makes America great.
Did you just say make America great?
I think all of us want an America we can be proud of.
If you agree that America is best when we work together,
that America is best when we respect each other,
that we are the best when we respect these ideals,
please click on the link below to learn more.
Hey, sometimes I agree with the Reds and sometimes I agree with the Blues. Can I still join?
Yes, for the low price of... Okay. Yes, you can.
Of course.
Oh my God. That is such a good video. I love it. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And he will be missed. He absolutely will be missed. All right. So these next 3 truly, truly, truly need no introduction. They are amazing co-founders of Raver Angels. Let's bring on David, and Bill. I wish you guys could have diversified names a little bit. I don't know if we needed 2 co-founders named David, but here we are. This whole night, I mean, it's so cool because what I've been thinking about is 8 years ago, David Blankenhorn got an idea. What if we just threw a bunch of people in a room and just saw what happened, right? And David Lapp agreed to be a part of it. And Bill, was probably freaked out at the idea at first, but then, slowly got into it once he put a little bit more structure and guardrails around it. But it was just this idea. It was just a phone call. It was just, an idea amongst friends. And look what has blossomed. I mean, we have Braver Faith. We have Braver Music. We have this amazing friendship between William and Don. We have leaders like Stacy Proctor and Mary TV. I mean, there's so much going on. Just that one seed that you all planted has blossomed so much over the 8 years, and it's just incredible to see. So firstly, thank you all for joining us, and I'll kick it all to you, David Blankenhorn. Tell us where are you tonight, and how are you bringing in the selection? And you are on mute, I will say.
Yeah, thanks, Gabby. I'm in New York, and in 2016, right after the election, I called David Lapp and said, David, how are you feeling? And he said, well, we're pretty happy here in South Lebanon, we're hoping change. And he said, well, how are you feeling in New York? And I said, well, we're pretty, everybody's upset here. And what's the deal? So we decided to have a meeting in South Lebanon, Ohio, and in 2 weeks. And David organized the meeting, and Bill chaired the meeting, and it was the beginning of Raver Angels. And the problem of polarization is probably worse today than when we started Raver Angels. That's a fact. But I do want to say that it's been the honor of my life to work with you people. And I'm going to say to Mr. Ellis, what a shout out to Don Bird. And, you know, I guess what I'm thinking really, and I want to see what Bill and David have to say, but I guess my deepest thought tonight is a feeling of being at home with you people, and a feeling of gratitude to people that we are taking this journey together. I just, it's from the bottom of my heart. And I never imagined that what we little thought of those years ago would turn into this. That none of us ever thought of this. And last thought, this is an important night, of course, and we're going to have a new president. But in some ways, the real work starts the day after we learn the election results. The day after, because none of us will get the country we want after this election, no matter who wins. And so, and this is something we can control. This is something we can do the day after. And I feel like that's why I want to be here tonight with you all, you know, because I just feel like that's what we're all about. And the people who thought about all this, and you know, Mary TV for what you said, and Mark Beckwith for thinking about the inventing the idea of the visiting of the people at the polling. I mean, I just can't tell you what a honor it is for me to be a part of all this. And no matter who wins, the morning after is when the real work for helping our country begins. And I just could not possibly be more honored to be with you on this. Thank you.
Well, thank you, David. I'm going to turn over to David Lapp. I can imagine that picking up that phone call from David Blankenhorn was one of the most consequential phone calls you've ever picked up in your life. So I'd love to hear about that and just where you are, how you're feeling tonight.
Yeah, well, I remember the feeling after the 2016 election was, it was a great surprise that Trump had won. And of course, there was consternation among about half of Americans. And I remember thinking along the lines of, the people have spoken, and now we get to build. And who knows what creative and interesting things could happen from, what if we did get in a room together? And to me, the hope I take away from the last 8 years, it's just exemplified in that last thing with William and Don. I mean, is the fact that we went from that workshop in South Lebanon and then slowly but surely people started finding out about it. I mean, I was at the South Lebanon Community Center where we had that first ever workshop earlier today with Kuyar, my blue friend. I'm a red. And we were standing there with our signs, and it's poetic justice. 8 years later, there we are. And but it was, I think soon after we got started, Don Bird contacted Kuyar, and I said, hey, we want to have a workshop here in Indiana. Could you come out and help us do a workshop? And we did, and we went out there and we had a great time. And it's people like Don, who had the creativity to say, I'm going to call William Ellis and I'm going to see if we can build something amidst, as William said, he's getting all these calls from Democrats, who are just, angry at him. But Don had the curiosity and the creativity to say, what could we build together? And look what happened. And so, yeah, that's what's giving me hope tonight. And that's how I'm thinking about the next couple of days.
I love it. Well, let's pass to Bill, because Bill, I'd love to hear from you. Yeah. Just watch this whole night, all these people across the country doing all this work in all these different parts of society, really. What's giving you hope tonight?
Well, what's giving me hope is that the people who said we could never do it were wrong. Right? David B., the people in your world in New York said, do not do this. Do not bring those people together. It will be a disaster. Right, David? And we prove them wrong. And there are people now who are saying the same thing. We just have to fight them.
They definitely said that. They definitely said it, Bill.
So the people who said we couldn't do it then were wrong. And there are a lot of people feeling hopeless now. And our task is to bring hope. And this kind of conversation gives me increased hope.
I heard from someone that said it was actually a strangely uplifting thought that he said, I tell people I'm a part of Raver Angels because just simply nothing else works. And so, there's some hope in that, which is like, we try all these different routes. I know that's the truth for me. I went down the angry route. I went down the resentful route. That didn't lead me anywhere productive. So, Raver Angels by far has the longest and most enduring path to somewhere great. So, that's
good. Could I add one more thing? Because I spoke less than my colleagues.
Yeah, get in there, Bill.
Don't let Bill speak too long.
Seconds, really. I was counting, I was really inspired by so much tonight, but the Wilmington folks who brought together two political opponents whose ads were not particularly friendly, and then showed up in a structure, because that's what we do. We have some structures, we have some containers that bring out people's better and braver angels. And we have done this with elected officials, with members of Congress. When we've done this life experience exercise where we give everybody 5 minutes to say what life experiences have influenced your values and beliefs about public policy and public service. Some of that we've done tonight. Every time there have been tears, there has been coming together, and the tears have been about loss in people's lives and inspiration in people's lives. And some of these were political enemies. You create the environment, and then a transformation can happen.
Absolutely. I know Moni, I was talking to Moni earlier this week, and she was saying, she was feeling steady in this moment when so many people are feeling anxious. And she was saying she felt so grounded in that. She knows the power of this work. She's seen it exactly like you were just talking about, Bill. We've all seen it. We've seen these people. We've seen folks come together across really big divides and actually be able to hear each other and become friends in some cases, which is incredible. We're all so indebted to you three. Thank you guys for being brave enough to actually come up with this crazy idea and bringing us all along for the ride. I mean, what a privilege it is for us to be on your bandwagon here. But it really
Well, I do want to point out though that my goals in life will not have been fulfilled until I am on the cover of a Wheaties box like Bill has in the background there.
That's true. Bring it up, Bill.
Can we show that Wheaties box?
Bill, I'm surprised you've been so shy about that.
I did a workshop for General Mills, and it gave me my own Wheaties box, which to my family means I have made it. Everything else just downhill from here. So anyway, that's my Wheaties.
That is
Thank you for. I was
Bill likes to present that he's very humble and so forth, but he's got the Wheaties box in the background. I just wanted to point that out, Bill.
Who needs a Nobel Peace Prize when you've got a Wheaties box? Goodness gracious.
It was for Raver Angels, and honestly, it was. I
can't believe you have a Wheaties box.
Yeah. So as I was saying before interrupted, I did a Raver Angels workshop, one of our workshops for 300 of their employees, and it went beautifully. And this was, my picture's on there, but this was what Raver Angels contributed to them. And this is where we go next, honestly. That's a company that is loved and respected in industries. So the next week I get a call from the Restaurant Association of America, who now are one of our network partners.
Yes.
Want us to help them. It is the second largest industry in the country, and on Thursday I'm doing a workshop for the executives of many of these organizations as a starting point, and it spreads.
Yes. That is how it spreads.
Well, we got Mrs. Utah, we got music, we got faith, we got Bill on a Wheaties box, and now we have Restaurants of America. So really are taking this country by storm. And seriously, so grateful to be a part of it. So thank you all for joining us tonight and being on to watch, the seed that you've planted, to see the wonderful forest that has now come to be and will, I am confident, continue to flourish. So thank you, Bill, David, and David. And John, I'm going to pass it to you to wrap us up here on election night.
Thank you very much, Gabby. I'm going to do a poor job recounting something that I seem to remember David Blankenhorn having said about something David Lapp had once said. And it was in the aftermath of one of the many incredibly touching and powerful moments of community that Raver Angels produces. And from what I understand, David Blankenhorn remarked upon just how unusual, how abnormal this sort of intense power of charity and generosity was. And David Lapp responded by saying something along the lines of, what if this is normal? What if this is what normal could be? My apologies to you both, gentlemen, if I'm hazing over some of the details. But I do want to surface that idea. It may seem like what we are doing here, even in spite of everything we've talked about this evening, is just a drop in the bucket in comparison to the magnitude of the challenges and the vitriol that face us in American political life today, and that will face us when we wake up tomorrow and in the weeks and months to come. And in some ways, of course, it is a small thing. We will get off of this call and make our way back out into the wilderness and the wilds of American politics with all of its ugliness. And yet, what you are seeing, what you are observing, what you are able to recount in the testimonies of people like Stacy Proctor and Ross Irwin and Don Bird and the many incredible people we've heard from this evening is what could be normal in American political and democratic life if we normalize it. Because part of what has been so deeply distressing about the story of the last many years in American life is how normal what should be the abnormality of deep interpersonal vitriol based on the differences of opinions that we should just take for granted and treat with grace in American democracy, how normalized that has become in recent times, left and right. This isn't just about one party or one politician. It is a problem we share, but the answer to it is getting back in touch with the basics, getting back in touch with the fundamentals of human decency, of respect for human dignity, and for being able to do democracy in a way that expresses value and respect for the sanctity of other people's experiences and their points of view. Because this project of American life, of self-governance, is a shared one. It is one that we can only do together, not a raw function of being the smartest person in the room or giving the best speeches or this, that, or the other, but largely a function of being able to listen to and learn from one another. And that is the Raver Angels way. And so I want to encourage everybody to keep going in this work, to get involved if you're not involved already. And also, if you have time, to join us tomorrow night when the dust will have settled. Well, it probably won't have actually settled for some time yet, as far as anybody knows. But after the dust will have cleared a little bit, to hear from some extraordinary leaders in American society, including people like Democratic Congressman Dean Phillips, Newsweek editor Batia Ungar Sargon, more leaders from Raver Angels and the larger movement to bridge the partisan divide as we talk about the way forward, a way of American hope, and begin to imagine together what the future might look like when we take refuge in the Raver Angels of our nature to chart a course towards a better tomorrow. But for tonight, this is John Wood Jr. and Gabby Timmis. Thank you, Gabby, for being so extraordinary and everything you do for Raver Angels. We look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care, and let's build a house united.
Oh, and I should mention as we're all closing out, the pictures you're seeing here are some of our amazing red blue pairs at the polls. So check them out, and thank you all for joining us tonight. I'll see you.